Hello, Year 2, how are you? And welcome to today's English lesson. Now, today we're going to be looking at adverbs of time. Now, we looked at adverbs of place and adverbs of manner when we looked at the bubble story. Remember, adverbs of place answered the question of where, and adverbs of manner answered the question of how. But can you remember what an adverb of time is from when we wrote our diary entries for the Great Fire of London? Fantastic if you do. That will really help you in today's lesson. And we're going to be using adverbs of time to help sequence events. So by the end of the lesson, you will have ordered some events chronologically. So you will have put them in chronological order, sequence them, so put them in the order in which they happen, and you will have used some adverbs of time to help sequence some sentences about some different events. Okay, but before we do that, I would like to see how much you remember from yesterday's lesson. So yesterday we learned about all the different features in an informal letter, and I've got an informal letter here, but oh dear, it's all muddled up. What shall I do? Well, can you help me? Can you help me piece the letter back together and put all the parts in the right place? I've sent you this jumbled up letter. It's called Year 2 English, 27th of January resource, okay? You can cut it out and stick it down in the right place if you want, or you can just think about it. Either is completely fine. Okay, so pause the video now and have a think. How can I piece my informal letter back together? Okay, Year 2, were you able to help me? Well, let's have a look. What do I need first in my informal letter? Ah, yes, you're right. I need the address, the sender's address. Remember, the person who's writing the letter's address, not the person that it's to, because the person who it's to's address goes on the envelope so the postman knows where to post it. So yes, we've got the sender's address in the top right-hand corner. Now, what goes underneath the address? Ah, fantastic. It's the date, isn't it? Thank you for reminding me. The date goes under the address. And what goes next? Ah, yes, you're right. The opening goes next. So you're telling us who you're writing to. So Daisy was writing to Santa. So she's written Dear Santa, and that started our letter. Now what goes next? You're right. It's our introduction paragraph. Remember, the first sentence of an introduction paragraph tells you why you're writing the letter. So I am writing to thank you for the lovely presents you left at my house on Christmas Eve. Okay, so that's a lovely opening, a lovely introduction to the letter. It's telling us why, the purpose that she's writing the letter. Okay, what goes next? Fantastic. So the other paragraph that adds more information to our letter, that goes next. So we've got the address, the date, the opening, the introduction, the next couple of paragraphs. What goes after that? Yes, at the end of the letter, remember, you always have a conclusion, which is your final little thing that you want to say before you end the letter. So we've got, I hope you and Mrs. Claus have a lovely holiday and the elves and reindeers have a well-deserved rest. Okay, so do I leave it there? Ah, no, we've got one more piece to put in, haven't we? And what's that? It's the sign off, love from Daisy and 2 kisses. Now remember, this is for an informal letter because Daisy is writing to Santa as a friend. But in a formal letter, you wouldn't write love from Daisy. You'd write yours sincerely because you don't really know the person if you're writing an informal letter. So you're not going to say love from, are you? Well done and thank you for piecing my letter back together. Now let's move on to today's learning. So we are learning about adverbs of time. Now, if an adverb of place answers the question of where, an adverb of manner answers the question of how, what does an adverb of time answer? Can you pause the video and have a think? Can you remember from when we did our diary entries? Right, Year 2, did you remember? Well, yes, an adverb of time answers the question of when. It tells us when something happens. Can you remember any adverbs of time though? Can you pause the video and have a think? How many different adverbs of time can you think of? Okay, I'm sure you thought of lots because you had some brilliant ideas when we wrote our diaries. Let's see what I came up with. So I came up with after dinner, but you could have after school, after I brush my teeth. There are lots of different ways you can use after. I've also got on Christmas Day, but you could have on Saturday, on my birthday. You can use on in lots of different ways. I've got at 12 o'clock. So you could have any time at 2 o'clock, at 5 o'clock, or you could have at the end of the day or at the beginning of the day. Then we've got straight away, when I arrived, but you can have when anything, when I heard, when I noticed, Before school, so the opposite of after. So before school, before I go to school, before I go to bed, before I have dinner. Then we've got then, so that's the next thing that happens. Early in the morning or late at night. Today or yesterday or tomorrow. And eventually, okay, so those are all the different ones I came up with. Were you able to think of some more? Fantastic, well done. I knew you would. Now let's have a look at some sentences with some adverbs of time in. So I have today it is snowing heavily. Now where is my adverb of time here? You're right, it's today, isn't it? That is telling us when it is snowing heavily. It is snowing heavily today. So today is answering the question of when. Then I have before school, I have my breakfast. So I don't have my breakfast after school, I have it before school. So that is telling me you when I have my breakfast, which is before school. It's giving me more information about my breakfast, okay? Not only do I tell you I have my breakfast, but I also tell you when. So here we have 3 simple sentences, very short sentences. I wake up, I go to bed, I brush my teeth. Now, what I'd like you to do is have a think of what adverbs of time you can use in these sentences to extend them, to give more information. So let's do the first one together. Well, let's have a look what I came up with. So I thought, in the morning, I wake up. At 7 o'clock, I wake up. Or you could have at 8 o'clock, I wake up. When my alarm goes off, I wake up. Or when my mum wakes me up. Or when my mum wakes me up, I wake up. Or what else could you have? Well, you could use before. You could have before breakfast, I wake up. Or even before my alarm clock goes off, I wake up, because some people wake up before their alarm goes off. Okay, and then we've got I go to bed and I brush my teeth. So I'd like you to pause the video and have a think. What adverbs of time could you add to these sentences? Okay, Yetu, were you able to add some adverbs of time? Fantastic, well done. So I have a funny feeling that this is going to appear in the wrong order. So let's start with I brush my teeth, okay? I know it's the third one, but I think it's going to appear in the wrong order. So I brush my teeth. What adverb of time could we add to that? Well, you brush your teeth normally in the morning, don't you? And at night. So you could have in the morning and at night. Now, when at night do you normally brush your teeth? Yes, you brush them before you go to bed. And then in the morning, you could brush your teeth after you have breakfast or before you have breakfast. So I came up with before I go to school, before I go to bed. But then we've also come up with some other ones that we've just spoken about. So yes, I was right. It was coming up in the wrong order. I was right about that funny feeling. Okay, then I have I go to bed. What could you add before I go to bed? Well, I thought we could add after dinner, I go to bed. Or at 8 o'clock, I go to bed. Or whatever time you go to bed, okay? Or you could say, I go to bed after I brush my teeth. After I brush my teeth, I go to bed. Or you could say, before my brother goes to bed, I go to bed. Okay, so well done if you were able to think of some adverbs of time to add to those sentences. Now we're going to leave adverbs of time for the time being and have a go at ordering some events chronologically, and then we're going to come back to adverbs of time and see if we can add them to help order our events.